we can go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. Ryan Combs, Director of Partnerships here at Intellinetics. Really excited to have everybody on the call this morning. Grateful of your time. Excited to show you a new financial dashboard visualization tool that we have created here at Intellinetics called FiscalVue. Before jumping into things, just a couple housekeeping items. Everybody will be on mute upon entry. If you do have questions, feel free to type those in the chat feature on Teams. We will address as many as we can at the end of this call here today. If for whatever reason we can't get to every question, we will send the list of Q&A out as a follow-up item, along with a copy of the slide deck and a copy of the recording. So for the agenda today, we'll briefly touch on introductions. We'll go high level on who Intellinetics is, and then really pass it over to the star of the show, Todd Griffith, to chat a little bit about FiscalVue, how he's using it at his district, the problem they were facing, and the results that they've achieved. So Todd, thanks so much for your time here and joining us today. For those of you who don't know, Todd is the treasurer of Licking Heights School District up in the Columbus area. So quickly, who is Intellinetics? I'm sure a lot of you on this call, this is your first time hearing about Intellinetics. So we are a digital transformation software company. We are headquartered in Columbus, Ohio, focused on content management and process automation solution, really for mission critical organizations, K-12, local government, law enforcement, et cetera. We do have over 500 districts across the United States utilizing our solution in some capacity. Here's kind of our sheet of all the offerings that we have here today. Everything from good old document scanning, so scanning banker boxes full of paper documentation, all the way to content management and through to FiscalVue, which we'll show you here today. So with that being said, I will stop sharing my screen if I can click the button. I will pass it over to Todd, and Todd, you can start sharing and walking everybody through FiscalVue.
All right, sounds good. Just as a side note, Ryan and I have been, Ryan's also one of my best friends from high school. And it's just funny seeing our pictures on the slide when you side by side. That was funny. At least to me, it was just all right. So we'll go through FiscalVue, and I'll tell you, we've been using it for about a year. The whole point, and what I was originally complaining to Ryan about a year and a half ago, probably, is just trying to get administrative engagement in the financial process. And so, I've been after it for a decade, really trying to figure out what are the barriers in getting administrators to actually engage and better understand their finances and really better communicate with us on what their needs are. And part of that is really diving into understanding their finances. So I met with all our administrators and asked them a ton of questions over probably a 2 or 3 month period, all the principals, all the directors, and just tried to find out what the barriers were for them to even look at their finances. And I ask, and you probably have a similar experience, is I ask all of them the very first question when I started this, trying to figure out what the issues were with them even logging in and navigating. But I ask them first, I was how much is your, what budget do you have remaining and available to you? And not one of them, and we have 17 principals and departments combined. And so not one of them can answer it. I was can you guess within $10,000? And still, not one of them could. They're all my secretary could tell you maybe, and that was about it. So we figured out each time we asked someone to filter or click, we'd lose half of the people. So 3 clicks in, you've lost most of your people. And they just, it's an accounting system designed for us to track accounting, EFP and redesign, and they're good at that, but they're not the best for administrators to be able to manage their finances. So Ryan and his team really answered all of our use cases to just start building engagement, and it's been great for us, and we've seen a lot of differences in how administrators communicate with our office. And but we'll get into it. So it really comes down to three things. They wanted to know what their budgets were, and they wanted to see it quick. They wanted to know if they needed to. They wanted to be able to drill down into transactions, and they wanted to know what they had in open purchase orders. That's pretty much all they wanted to know, and they didn't want anything more to complicate it. So we'll do an example. Broad Peak's one of our elementary schools. So we just set them up all by department or building. So Broad Peak can come in, they can look at their building budget, and they can either look at their 018 or general fund. So they can click and filter, and this is how it works. It's just showing their budgets right here. It's budget, expense, encumbrance, and available balance. And at the top, it just has their total. Because generally what we found is they want to know what they have in purchase orders, and they want to know what they can add to purchase orders and buy stuff with. So that's what we gave them, just right at the top. It's budget, expense, encumbrance, balance. At the bottom, it's history. So there's your fiscal years on the side. Can you guys, Ryan, can you see my mouse? So I feel
Yes.
like, okay. So down here in fiscal years, there's 3 years of history in current year. Across the top on the bottom table is your months. And this is what you've spent per month, depending on how you filter. So this is what Broad Peak's general fund spent by month. And you can see, like, it just shows you like cash flow and trajectory in this way. An example that happened, and you can also filter, like up here, say I just want to look at my 511, you can click it, and then it filters down here so you can see what you spent each month on your 511. Here's an example that we had just talked about. Our operations department was looking at their budget, and he's like, what did I spend? Like $700,000 last year in August. Like, what in the heck was that? And so you can click on it, and it'll take you to the transactions. And so then we were able to click on it. It brought us to August of 25's transactions. And you can see, well, we did a bunch of roof repairs. So it was easy to like quickly navigate for him. As an example, like he was able to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what we did. And you can see your filters up here. So it just takes you, everything's clickable. It takes you right back. You can, if we go back to Broad Peak, everything's clickable. So you can click these, it'll filter by anything that you click. And we just went to transactions. So here's transactions. It's the same thing. You can just, if you want to look, you just click on it. It'll filter down by clicking. And lastly, it's your purchase orders. So here are your purchase orders, and here's remaining balances. In eFinance Plus, each of these things, you pretty much go navigate to a different menu to see, and it's not always like the easiest, and it doesn't take very much difficulty for our admin and secretaries just to not look. And it's not that they're good. Like, we have a great staff. It's just they're not accountants, and they don't want to deal with accounting issues a lot. So one of the things in the POs, you can also see the checks that you had written so far. So if you click it, it's going to show you what's on those checks. And that's really the whole thing, except there is an LLM that sits on top of all of it. It's, if you've used ChatGPT a lot or Claude or any of those, this is guardrailed around your data. And so the ChatGPT function is looking at your data. So for example, what we're doing is we're going through an athletic fundraising campaign over the next 3 months. And so Kevin, our superintendent, just asked, what are like our top 10 vendors we paid? So we're just like, what are the top 10 vendors we paid this year? And we could just ask, um, well, it's using Claude as a backend to convert the language. And so then it looked at and analyzed our data and it said, hey, here's your top 10 vendors. And here's how much they spent with you. Here's how many transactions. So it just made some assumptions on what we were after and what we were looking for. And then we took these and we're like, okay, well, maybe we should make it 15. And we started reaching out to vendors. So another thing that this did, and this is they ingested the USAS manual into the LLM, and that's because we used to get like a lot of questions about like how do we code things, which account. So now our secretary staff can just ask the chatbot. So like say you're at the high school and they need to buy frogs for science class, you can be like, at the high school, what account should I buy? Or you can just put like, can I buy frogs for science class? What account? What did I say? At the high school, what account can I buy science class? All right, perfect. So it's going to go and look at your high school budgets and it's going to look at the ones that make the most sense. So it's not going to be take USAS manual and be like, here's the exact account code you need to buy frogs in science class. It's going to say, okay, I understand the USAS manual and I understand that you have a limited number of account codes, and we're not going to tell you the exact USAS account code. We're going to tell you which ones you should use that make the most sense based on what you actually have available. So that way, like our secretaries aren't like, can you give me a new account code for frogs? Like we're not getting that. But this has been super helpful for our district. When we were at New Albany, they want us to ask on their data. They're like, how much food did we spend out of our 018? How much money did we spend on food out of our 018? And it went through the descriptions and it looked for things like restaurant names and pizza and actual food. And it was a pretty cool. I think they spent. I'm afraid to say it out loud, but it wasn't that much. It was like 18,000 or something. And it really comes down to how good your data is. But it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool idea just to like analyze food, for example. And so it's fun to play with. There's also lastly an Intella, and you can really ask it anything. There's an Intella AI function, and this is more like conversational. So you can say, all right, show me top 10 vendors. It's looking at my past questions, but this one you can have more conversations with. So it goes a little deeper into the discussion and it'll give you like suggested follow-up questions as well, which is pretty cool. One of the things I forgot to show you that I thought was also helpful is if you're looking to figure out, for example, transportation spending is up because we're transporting kids all over the place that we didn't plan, and we're paying like TriStar, and and they need funds, and so if you're looking for budgets to like that have money available that you can take from, you could say what fund 001 budgets are over 50,000 and still have over 50% remaining. We'll say I'll do more than that just so I don't know where we're at, that have over 60%. Um, available. So you can start to like ask it questions on available budget to see a list of accounts that still have quite a bit that I could go look through and be like, all right, do I have room and is it okay for me to borrow or take some from specific accounts, which I thought was helpful. And we did recently. So that's pretty much the basic functionality. For the treasurer, there is a data insights tab, and this is just has some stuff to look at, like overspent budgets. You can look at it. You can have your AI analyze it. So if you click this, it opens up this Intel AI and starts analyzing your budgets that are overspent, negative balances, and you can either resolve it or you can analyze it, and it just sits out there and gives you some like warning messages that helps look at your data. And other than that, that's really how this tool works. And Ryan, do we have any questions about it in the chat, or is there
Yeah,
anything?
I'm monitoring the chat. I don't see anything right now. If anybody does have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. There should be a chat button
Yeah,
up top. Todd, we
that
do have a question that came in. Does USAS feed into the system?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so it's software agnostic really. So it's set up for USAT or for redesign and eFinance Plus. So it updates each night.
Yep. And then that leads into our next question we have from Becky. How does the software get its data? Do you want to talk through that?
Sure. Yeah. So it's through scheduled reporting. So there's an initial setup, probably takes 10 minutes, and it's through a series of setting up scheduled reports. And there's a email inbox that they get scheduled and sent to at 10 o'clock each night. And then the system has an email server that automatically updates all your data. So it's always live as of like about 10 p.m. the night before. So when you get the work, it's live in the morning, except for that current day.
Cool. Thanks, Todd.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't see any other questions coming in. One question we do have pretty frequently is obviously pricing. So that's based on district student size. So more than happy to provide more information on that. If anybody does want to get some pricing, I'll share my contact information here at the end and get that over to you. Yeah. So an SF, another question from Heidi, Todd.
Yeah.
So an
Okay.
SFTP for transfer. Um,
It's through an email service.
yeah.
So both in redesign and like with redesign, there's bundled reports. And so there you can set up a bundle and there's instructions and it just emails each night to another inbox. And then the same is through with Cognos reports for EFP. And I know there's like functionality for FTPs and at least in EFP, but that it's not been necessary at this point.
Yep.
Like I just send my data, it sends it automatically. I never think about it again once I set it up.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great. And to add a little more to that, yeah, it's a super quick process to get that in place, as Todd mentioned. I believe it's 4 reports for
Yep.
redesign and 4 for EFP, and each district will get their own email that you send it to. So it's literally set up once, wash your hands, completely forget about it.
And then, yep. And the setup process for each department, very easy. It's completely customizable. So like your buildings, however you want to organize your data, you can do it. And break up your departments however you see fit. So it's
Yep.
it's
And
a simple process.
yeah, and to add a little more to that, you'll get if you do move forward, you'll get a customer success manager who will walk you through this, do all the training, get you set up, so you're not on your own, thrown into the wild. We're going to walk you through everything, make sure all the data is, properly coming in, being ingested, train the treasurers, train your staff, etc. So, we have a really strong implementation program here to make sure that you get all the help you need. Todd, a couple more questions that have come in.
Okay.
What were you using to collect and share this information prior to FiscalVue?
We just had them in our software, which they weren't like we gave access to um eFinance Plus, and so we weren't getting a lot. We did a few email reports that I think were a little bit overwhelming. And so they weren't looking at them. Uh, since in the last year though, like it's honestly changed how we communicate. So like when schools are like pupil services, we'll use them as an example. They'd come and be like, "Hey, I need $40,000." And so when we started showing this, like we started looking at cash flows and we started having every discussion we have is framed around this and cabinet, and we'd show them their cash flow, and honestly, they always had enough money. Like generally speaking, traditionally we'd budget, and we always do just kind of like a modified needs based, like we meet with departments, talk about what they need. We lay out their budget, they tell us what they need, how much, the vendors, and traditionally we've probably spent 80% of our non-salary and benefits budget, so there's always like 15 to 20% remaining and that we don't spend. And really it's made more of an impact now that there is this requirement to align your appropriations with your budget and forecast. So we spent probably prior 2 years ago now, we probably spent 80% of our budget that year. And this year, when we did our budget, we framed it around this tool, and I can tell they're better understanding their budgets because voluntarily all of our budgets came down probably 10%. I mean, they're spending more this year, but they're probably going to spend 95% of their budget instead of 80. And for me, that's pretty helpful that they're starting to understand and plan better and spend their budgets, especially since like there's like a a need for them to like not overinflate their budgets to such an extent. And we allowed for it, but I think that happens when you do have like a collaborative needs-based approach, because they traditionally they didn't have like a great understanding of their finances. This has helped us.
Yep. Great. Thanks, Todd. Another
Yep.
question came in from Heidi. Has this been tested with redesigned districts?
Yeah, it's with but yeah, New Albany is using it, Bethel. There's been a couple.
Mhm.
So this I think, when did you roll this out, Ryan? 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's been some redesigned districts that are on it already, and EFP.
Perfect. Cool. All right. I'll give it a second here, see if there are any other questions that come in. If not, Todd, I will take back
Okay.
take back over. I will share my screen here again. Give me one sec. Bear with me. I'm on one laptop. So yeah, in terms of next steps, this is all my contact information down here. So if there's interest in chatting, learning a little more, getting some administrators on board and seeing this, I'm more than happy to, to schedule that time to provide pricing, what have you. We are also going to be starting user groups, probably based on geography here in the state. So we are looking for, some power users here and early adopters, as we'll call them, to join our steering committee and help set those up and coordinate with those. So If there are no other questions, greatly appreciate your time. Hope you thought this was valuable. Feel free to reach out to me, to Todd, with any questions. We'd be happy to, again, provide pricing, answer any questions, get a team together at the district to go over this and address anything that might come up. So appreciate your time. Todd, any last words?
Nope. Good.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Well, thank you all again. We'll get the follow-up out to you. Again, a copy of this recording, a copy of the deck, and then a list of the Q&A. So thank you again for your time. We'll let you get back to your day and hope to talk to everybody soon. Take care.